This Class A motorhome went off the road due to a front tire blowout and was in a very dangerous position. As you can see, it almost rolled over. This coach did have steering controls installed, but as shock absorbers, which resulted in a very harsh ride.
All right, today we're going to talk about RV safety, and that goes well beyond learning how to drive an RV. It's really making sure your RV is drivable. Now, when you buy a rig and you pull it off the lot, you assume it's OEM, man. It's ready to go. The National RV Training Academy has brought Rich in from Hendersons lineup, also Supersteer, to let you guys know there's a lot of things you can do to improve your ride and to get rid of the white knuckling. And I don't know if you guys get this, but when I was driving my Class A, every time a semi passed me, I'd have to steer into it, and then once it passed, I'd have to hurry up and turn the other direction because it was pushing and pulling me. And if the first couple videos really kind of piqued your interest, there are ways to protect you and your family from being in those situations. Now, the second one's kind of funny. That's really just making sure that you know your rig is being, the equipment's being installed by a proper installation company. They're not going to put a steering device on your suspension, which is pretty unique. That's kind of funny.
It is. When we jacked it up and looked underneath, we're like,
there's the problem.
That's pretty harsh ride.
Yeah.
So going back to the first video, the front tire blows out. The first thing you're actually supposed to do is never touch the brake. But that's the first thing you want to do. Like,
it's a
there's a problem
reaction
happening. I need to slow down. Well, the problem is when you hit that brake, you actually make it worse. And if you looked at that video, you can see that thing's starting to roll over.
It happened quick too.
Yeah.
I mean, it was they were straight, and then all of a sudden, bam, they went off the road. So they probably slammed on the brakes, huh?
Yeah, and they were probably going, 50, 60 miles an hour. And that's the last thing you want is a front tire blowout. It's super loud, and it's a very scary experience.
I mean, you're not going to eliminate a tire from blowing, but if it does blow, what do you have that can help you not drive off the road and flip?
So what has been made, an aftermarket product, is called a steering control. What it does is it forces your coach to go center. And we have a product on supersteerparts.com called a Safety Plus. And the name is exactly what it is, safety first. So when a tire blows out, it's going to force you to go off the road. And what Safety Plus does is it forces your steering to go straight, which keeps you going down the road rather than off into the embankment. But there's the plus side is really good. I mean, you talked about driving down the road and having that RV being sucked in and pushed by passing trucks, or just road wander in general. And you get a lot of what's called steering, driver fatigue and oversteering because you're just trying to keep that coach out of the ruts. Well, what a Safety Plus does is it assists you and keeps you going straight. So not only is it a blowout protection, but it eliminates that driver fatigue and keeps you going straight on those long, windy roads.
Very cool. Now, in the spirit of staying straight, when a semi truck passes you, like I was talking about earlier with my rig, that was probably the most frustrating thing, because as you're driving down the road, especially on the highways, you constantly, semis are either passing you or you're passing semis, and there's nothing worse than that feeling of when you just get past them and you're steering into them, to instantly steer out. And if you have a large Class A rig, there's a lot of wind hitting the side of that thing. So it wasn't until like 3 years after I had my rig that I realized there's actually parts that you can put on your rig that will stabilize that from happening, right?
Yeah, what you're describing is what we like to call the tail wagging the dog. You ever seen a dog going down the road and his butt's on one side but his legs are going the other way? That's actually how an RV kind of tends to do, especially the Class A Ford motorhomes. There's a lot of weight at the end of the coach, and what that does is it causes you to seesaw at the wheel, and you're oversteering, trying to control that, and there's a lot of driver fatigue from that. So what we do at Supersteers, we created what's called a track bar. And it goes across the back and it locks the axle down. Still allows it to move up and down, but it eliminates that side to side movement, and that really eliminates a lot of driver fatigue and gives you confidence going down the road. As that truck's coming to you, you're not going to start freaking out because it's going to stabilize that rear end for you.
Man, that would be huge. So if you didn't know that and you're out there driving like a maniac on the highway, that's something that you need to check out. And they're not that expensive.
No.
So if you got an RV and you want to improve your ride, right? This isn't a paid commercial either. You actually flew down here to hang out with us, and we're like, you know what? People need to hear about these products, because when you're out on the road or when you purchase an RV from a dealership or from a private seller, they're not saying, hey, by the way, you should add these things to give you a better ride. How does it work with Supersteer? Do you have to find a dealer, or how does it work? Do you just go to your website?
Great question.
Thank you. I try to come up with good ones.
It really kind of depends. We have a nationwide network of dealers. Of course, we would love you to come up and see us in Oregon, where we do what's called a RPA. It stands for Road Performance Assessment. And if you went to a doctor and you were sick, you wouldn't want to just start pulling out organs. So what we do is we diagnose the problem of your RV. We have this thing. We don't want to just throw parts at your motorhome.
Sure.
We want to diagnose the problem. So we do a road performance assessment where we assess that. But if you can't make your way up into Oregon, we can give you great directions on where you can go see someone who can diagnose those problems in your area. And so we have a dealer network across the United States of certified Supersteer installers that can take good care of you.
Now, do they all do that performance check?
Unfortunately, not everybody. We would love that to happen, but we're slowly building that network. We do have some very educated people that have been through our school, much like the NRVTA. We have a school, we teach steering and suspension, so we do have some preferred people we can recommend you to.
Now, don't you guys go to a lot of rallies and events too? I mean, you can get that service done there.
Well, we do a free inspection at most RV rallies across the country. Unfortunately, there's so many variables, we don't bring a lot of installation. We are working on a mobile network for that, but we will look at your coach at an RV rally and make recommendations at that time too.
So if you get a chance, go to supersteerparts.com and check out all the different things they have for your specific RV, and use nrvta 23 and you'll get a discount. So Rich, man, this is awesome. I'm so glad you came here and explained to us all these different options that we really didn't know were available, and I wish I would have known 3 years ago.
Yep. If you like this content, also we have an educational center on supersteerparts.com where you can learn more and help you with your very specific needs as well.
Yeah, go check it out.
All right, well, thank you, Tony. Appreciate the time.
All right.
Until we see you in another video, we wish you safer and happier driving.
Hey, so are you tired of your RV rolling over, or are you tired of your ride being...
Well, if it rolled over, you're done.
But there's a lot more to that than just
No, we're
Safety
not.
Plus.
Safety Plus is its own company, FYI.
Very confusing.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I should tell you how this company rolls.
Until we see you in another video, we wish you safer
I did do that again.
and
I was,
happier
making a
driving.
I was making a funny face. All right.
That's how we end. Cool.
With that,